Hey friends, it is so good to be back and reading with you again. I hope you all had a great spring break. I talked to lots of you today. If I didn't get to talk to you today, I will get to talk to you tomorrow or the next day as soon as I possibly can. We're starting our new story. This one is Stuart Little. It got the most votes. Charlotte's Web came in second, so if we have time, we'll read them both. We'll hope so. We'll have to see. So I'm going to be flipping my phone around back and forth so that you can see the pictures and everything. So this is what the front of Stuart Little looks like. It's by E.B. White, and the pictures are by Garth Williams. Here we go with Stuart Little. Oh, first picture. Look. What do you see in this first picture? I see a man and a woman and a little boy with a mouse on the table. Makes me wonder. Chapter 1, In the Drain. When Mrs. Frederick C. Little's second son arrived, everyone noticed that he was not much bigger than a mouse. The truth of the matter was, the baby looked very much like a mouse in every way. He was only about 2 inches high, and he had a mouse's sharp nose, a mouse's tail, and a mouse's whiskers, and the pleasant, shy manners of a mouse. Before he was very many days old, he was not only looking like a mouse, but acting like one too. He was wearing a gray hat and carrying a small cane. Mr. and Mrs. Little named him Stuart, and Mr. Little made him a tiny bed out of 4 clothespins and a cigarette box. Look at his bed. Can you see it? Made out of clothespins. That's so funny. But that was really smart of his dad. Unlike most babies, Stuart could walk almost as soon as he was born. When he was a week old, he could climb lamps by shimmying up the cord. Mrs. Little saw right away that the infant clothes that she had provided were unsuitable, and so she set to work and she made him a fine little blue worsted suit with patch pockets, in which he could keep his handkerchief, his money, and his keys. Every morning, before Stuart dressed, Miss Little went into his room and she weighed him on a small scale, which was really meant for weighing letters. At birth, Stuart could have been sent by first-class mail for 3 cents. But his parents preferred to keep him rather than send him away, and when at the age of a month he had only gained 1/3 of an ounce, his mother was so worried she sent for the doctor. The doctor was delighted with Stuart and said that it was very unusual for an American family to have a mouse. He took Stuart's temperature and found that it was 98.6, which is absolutely normal for a mouse. He also examined Stuart's chest and heart and looked into his ears solemnly with a flashlight. Not every doctor can look into a mouse's ear without laughing. Everything seemed to be all right, and Mrs. Little was very pleased to get such a good report. "Feed him up," said the doctor cheerfully as he left. Here's a picture of the doctor examining him. That's so funny. I bet he had a hard time with that. The home of this Little family was a pleasant place near a park in New York City. In the mornings, the sun streamed in through the east windows, and all of the Littles were up early as a general rule. Stuart was a great help to his parents and to his older brother George because of his small size and because he could do things that a mouse can do and was agreeable about doing them. One day when Mrs. Little was washing out the bathtub after Mr. Little had taken a bath, she lost a ring off of her finger and was horrified to discover that it had fallen down the drain. "What had I better do?" she cried, trying to keep her tears back. "Well, if I were you," said George, "I would bend a hairpin in the shape of a fish hook, and I would tie it onto a piece of string and try to fish the ring out with it." So Miss Little found a piece of string and a hairpin, and for about half an hour she fished for the ring, but it was dark down the drain, and the hook always seemed to catch on something before she could get it down to where the ring was. "What luck?" asked Mr. Little as he came into the bathroom. "No luck at all," said Mrs. Little. "The ring was so far down I can't fish it up." "Why don't we send Stuart down after it?" suggested Mr. Little. "How about it, Stuart? Would you like to try?" "Oh, yes, I would," replied Stuart, "but I think I better get into my old pants. I imagine it's a little wet down there." "Oh, it is all of that," said George, who was a trifle annoyed that his hook idea hadn't worked. So Stuart slipped into his old pants and prepared to go down the drain after the ring. He decided to carry the string along with him, leaving one end in charge of his father. "When I jerk 3 times on the string, you pull me up," he said. And while Mr. Little knelt in the tub, Stuart slid easily down the drain and was lost to view. In just a minute or so, there came 3 jerks on the string, and Mr. Little carefully hauled it up. There at the end was Stuart, with the ring safely around his neck. "Oh, my brave little son," said Mrs. Little proudly, as she kissed Stuart and thanked him. "How was it down there?" asked Mr. Little, who was always curious to know about places he'd never been to. "It was all right," said Stuart. But the truth was, the drain had made him very slimy, and it was necessary for him to take a bath and sprinkle himself with a bit of his mother's violet water before he felt himself again. Everybody in the family thought he had been awfully good about the whole thing. And here's one more picture of Stuart going down the drain. I'm not sure I would have wanted to do that, because I bet it would have been slimy and wet and dark and yucky. Ugh. So tomorrow we will read chapter 2 called Home Problems. I can't wait to see you then.